Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, it looks like we're live. Greetings, everyone. I'm Edgar Veitia, co-founder of ReputationBeast. My business partner is Sebastian Gaviria. Together, we run Innovation Beast, Reputation Beast, Traffic Beast, Video Ad Beast, and several other divisions. Today, our associate Vanessa Brooks is here with me. She's going to be with me online. While I do a presentation, she'll be interacting with you via the live chat, answering any questions you might have as we go along. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm going to dive right in. First, I want to give you a little background on who we are. I am a third-generation entrepreneur, starting with my grandmother, then my father, then me. It's in my blood. I've been the CEO of a U.S. subsidiary of a publicly traded company based out of Singapore, a consultant at Jet Propulsion Laboratories of Pasadena, California, a Random House published author. I ran gold out of Venezuela, real estate developer in the Republic of Panama, and I've created and sold brands, and I've lived to tell about it. Now, Sebastian, he's equally, if not more, entrepreneurial than me. He opened a hugely successful nightclub when he was only 17. His mother had to sign for the liquor license, the lease, she had to mortgage her house, and off he went. Since then, he's built several more and sold them quite profitably at their peak. He's climbed the ranks of a Fortune 500 company, and in his spare time, he's built up a substantial real estate portfolio of income properties. If that's your thing, you definitely want to talk to Sebastian. At Innovation Beast, he spearheads our business process reengineering efforts, the journey mapping of company processes. It's a way of helping companies reduce costs and streamline their operations while increasing their conversions and profitability. Needless to say, we love what we do. So we're going to dive right in. And one thing I want to tell you is at the end of this webinar, we're going to be offering you a free service that we provide to our clients. Normally, we would charge a lot of money for this because the value is really high. But stick around, and it's a way of seeing what it is that we do within your operation. So instead of just hearing case studies and information that we're going to provide, you're going to have something that's going to be an extremely valuable tool for you as you go into 2019. Now, this webinar, it's a quick overview of what we do. In follow-up webinars, we're going to dive into details, but here we hope to provide you with a kind of a high-level high altitude view of what we do, and extrapolating from there, hopefully you can gain some insights about what you can do to further your success and possibly discover ways that we might be able to help you get there. So one of the things we want to really look at is this notion of a strategic approach. And for us, it boils down to basically a three-pronged approach: engaging, delighting, and dominating. We're gonna explore what those are. But first, I want to show you a little bit of what's going on. How did we get here? The world is radically different, and it's changing quickly. Every day, something new pops up. Well, there's an old way of doing things and a new way of doing things. The old school was tremendous. It was extremely powerful, but it was very monolithic. It was one voice speaking to millions of ears, one set of images showing to millions of eyes. It was a top-down approach, a one-direction flow of information. If somebody wanted to know something about your company, they had to ask you about it. Well, clearly that's not what's going on now. Nowadays, information flows up and down, sideways, backwards, and forwards. If you are not in front of your message, the world around you and your customer base and your fans will get out in front of you. One thing that's interesting to note about the way things are today, figure more than 85% of what is online about you and your company is not under your control. You simply have to learn how to dive into the stream and work your way with the currents and wind up with the results that you're looking for. And I'll tell you, the companies that crack the code, that figure this out, are crushing it. They're killing it. And it's usually happening in a way that's under the radar. You don't even see it going on. And you're going to have your competition doing this. So you want to pay close attention, because you're the one that's supposed to be doing this if you really want to get to where you want to go. So how did we get this? What causes change? Well, everybody's online. If you look around, everybody has their smartphone with them, and every day smartphones garner even more and more capability. So we're staring at that little screen even more, to the point where now there are more people on the internet via their phones than they are on desktops. And it's moving more so that way as they become more capable of functioning and doing more things. Now, with that, the center of communication has moved from this one-on-one relationship, and it's now online. It used to be that you would wait and catch up with your friends on a Sunday and trade all your stories, and everybody would get caught up and everything's going on. Or if at your work, you would have these flash reunions at the water cooler, and then you'd exchange gossip. But now all of that happens in real time online. And the explosion of these social networks is massive. And even though Facebook's gone through its ups and downs, it continues to be the center of communications for a lot of people. And yet we have choices, but still all of those each one of them is massive. And so they continue to grow. Along with the growth of these social media platforms has been the explosion of the growth of these directory sites or review sites or rating sites. And there are many of them. There are dozens and dozens. I'm going to venture to guess maybe even hundreds. And many of them are niche sites, but each one has its own following. Now, the bigger ones that we know about, Google and Facebook and TripAdvisor and Yelp, yeah, those are the obvious ones. But there's also health grades for doctors. There's Avo for lawyers. There are different kinds of vertical markets where people turn to. Why? Because advertising, everybody knows it's a very scripted message. But people then used to say, okay, well, if a celebrity says it's good, it's got to be good. But even nowadays, that's lost a lot of its luster. People turn to the wisdom of the crowd, the voice of their peers. And where better to find that out than to go to one of these directory sites of people who are like me, that have experienced what it is that I'm looking at, and then I can see what they're writing about it, how many reviews, what their ratings are, and so on and so forth. So you can't dismiss these. This is very, very powerful, as you'll see, and there's a way to get in front of it strategically so that you're not just simply a leaf floating in the stream and come what may, and hopefully it'll be fine. No, we got to get way past that. This is now something that I just think is so appropriate. It's kind of an indictment on the state of marketing as it exists today in 2019. Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. How many times do we do that? And specifically in marketing, we continue to throw money at legacy systems where people aren't there anymore, yet the infrastructure is there and continues to have this spin on the flywheel, and people continue to play along with it. And when it's not producing results, they go, oh, you just got to throw more money at it. But the competition that's going to dominate is one that end runs all of that. And that's the strategy that we're talking about here. And we're going to dive into what that looks like. Now, coming back to this point, engaging, delighting, and dominating. What does engage look like? Well, it's generating traffic. It's the front end. It's how people come into your world, into your operation. Again, it used to be easy to broadcast a big message. You could drop leaflets out over the city, and 1 out of 10,000 people might pick it up, and that's enough. That one person that picked it up covered the cost of all of that. But now it's not cost effective to just simply broadcast out there. You have to be much more strategic. It's much more targeted. It's laser focused so that you're reaching exactly the people that are going to be most responsive to your message, and not wasting time and effort and money trying to message people who are not going to be responsive to your message. So you need systems to be able to keep that pipeline flowing in the door, and that's critical. And how does this happen? Well, you do it by way of social strategies. You want to be able to dive into the middle of the conversation that's going on online so that you become part of the dialogue, so that people begin talking about your brand, your services, the experiences that they have had, and they're the ones that are online talking about your product and doing the heavy lifting for you. And that's not by accident. It's by design, and it's extremely effective. Another approach is through paid placement, and this is through the placement of your brand using keywords on search engines like Google and Bing and others. This is a huge business, and it's very effective, also very expensive. We also do what we call our 10x retargeting strategy. Now, this is using digital display ads, using the digital display ad network. And what we're able to do is we're able to follow people around with your message. It's much like when you go to Amazon and you look at a phone case, and you go, oh, that's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. I'll think about it. And then you leave Amazon and you go to, say, CNN, or you go to Fox Sports, or you go to ESPN, or you go to weather.com, or any site that you go to that has these banners, and all of a sudden you're seeing that phone case following you around everywhere you go, and like, hello, remember, it's got this feature, it's got that. That is extremely effective, and we have a 10x retargeting strategy that just crushes the competition with respect to that. And then also there's that last mile. You can't dismiss that last mile where you take your message into the world at large, and there are a lot of ways to make sure that you have this omni-channel approach, meaning no matter where somebody goes, online, offline, there's a congruency of your messaging, and that it's a strategic approach to all of that, so that you are maximizing your returns. So that's the engaging aspect of it. Now, what does that look like in practice? Well, here's a plastic surgeon. His social ratings went from 3.7 star average to 4.9 star average. Now, why is this relevant? Why do I bring this up? Well, Harvard Business Review did a study, and they concluded that a 1% difference in star ratings produced a 9% difference to the bottom line. Now, UCLA Berkeley did a similar study later, and they concluded that a half a star difference was producing a 19% benefit to the bottom line. Now, big difference there, but both are going in the right direction, which simply underscores the fact that people are on their phones when they are deciding where you're going to go eat. You know, you got a car full of people, the light turns red, you quickly open up your phone. Now, you're not going to drill down 4 pages and find a 3-star rated restaurant and go, that's where we're going to go. I'm sure it's awesome. You stay on that front page, you look at who's got the highest rating, who's got the most ratings, who's got consistently the highest reviews, the best quality reviews, and that's who dominates. That's who takes the lion's share of the business. And again, it's not by accident that these things happen. So this is something that can be done by working the social relationships, and there are methods for doing that. We also increased our social fan base by 400%. We've been able to increase the return on multiple campaigns that are done, again, utilizing the omni-channel approach. The lead conversion increased by 162%. I'll talk about that in a little bit. The average patient value went up by 20%. This is, again, through journey mapping and being able to determine what's the right sequence of products and services to present to a client that's coming in the door, and measuring everything to make sure that it all lines up. Now, let's say people are coming in the door. Now, what do you do with them? Well, the objective is to delight your clients. Now, this isn't just simply about, being smiley and happy and thinking that's going to do it. It's really about understanding the needs of your client. Now, today, people more and more are looking for companies to have a social value, to stand for something. They want you to be transparent. They want you to be authentic. They want to know that engaging with you means something, and that you're a principled company. People are putting more and more emphasis on that. It's not just about selling widgets. It's not just about buying the cheapest thing around, because that strategy is also limited. So it's about understanding this process, and this is where we map it all out. And you have to understand what each step is. And the real pinnacle of all of this isn't just simply winding up with people that are happy after they've purchased something, but businesses that have relied on the one-off sales, they're dying off. Because it used to be that you could have a really crappy product and you could just sell them all day long, and people would throw them away, they'd be angry. It didn't matter. But nowadays, you do that a few times and they are all over you, and they're all over social media. They're sounding the alarm, ringing the bells, and you now face a strong headwind that's going to cost you more and more and more to be able to acquire and keep customers. So the focus has to be on being a 5-star culture, and we can get into that. But really part of it too is beyond that, you have to aim to make your clients your ambassadors. They become your brand ambassadors. When you delight people, the level of loyalty goes up enormously, and they're the ones who are happy to spread the word about the goodwill of your business, your service and products. Now, if you don't do this, your competition's going to be doing it, or they're already doing it. So this is the new norm. This is where you have to be able to compete going into 2019, and especially with all the talk that, what's going to go on with the economy and the uncertainties, and these become self-fulfilling prophecies. But now's the time to double down and make sure that you take the high ground. Now, how does all this happen? Well, here's fundamentally what it comes down to. You can't improve what you can't measure. The wise words of W. Edwards Deming, the father of statistical process control. Modern manufacturing is all based on what he discovered, and his whole point is that you can't inspect quality. The cost increases too much the more you demand of it. It has to be built into the system. It has to be built into the processes. It has to be built into the culture. And so that's something very important to keep in mind. Critical to map your journey. What are all the steps involved? We go so far as to really map out your sales funnel, because it's not just somebody walks in the door, cha-ching, the bell rings, and you've got money in the cash drawer. It's about understanding that there are multiple steps in the sales process, and each one needs to be measured, because you need to measure your ad effectiveness, and those would be the clicks. What is it that is bringing people in? How are you measuring those results? How effective is your website? How effective is your call to action? And also, how effective is your close? And all of that is measured in the end by your profitability, by your sales. And when these are managed properly, you're going to get that end result. And of course, everything is a continually improving process. We A/B test everything. We help your sales department. It's important to script out everything that's going to be said to customers so that you can improve on it. If you're not doing that, you're relying on the moods and the whims and whatever's going on in the personal lives of the people that are representing your brand. You don't have that luxury anymore. So it's this continual improvement process. Now, what does that look like in practice? Well, here's a multi-location medical practice. We were able to reduce their marketing costs from $35,000 to $10,000 a month. These guys have been clients of ours for about 3 years. We also helped them increase their sales by 35%. So imagine cutting your marketing costs and your sales increase dramatically. Now, they had one clinic that was on the final leg. They were going to close it. We said, wait, hold on for about 6 months. Let us show you what we can do. So we were not only able to turn it around, but it became so successful that they were able to relocate it in a better part of the neighborhood. And it's now the number one producer in this collection of clinics that they have. Their conversion rate went from 10 to 62%. This is that process that I was talking about, of being able to map it out so that you can measure the results. You can't improve what you can't measure. So by doing this, we're able to help them go from 10% to 62%. Now, what does that mean? What is it you're looking for when somebody calls? Do you want them to book a free evaluation? Do you want them to make an appointment? Do you want them to buy something? All of these things need to be clearly laid out, and the pathways have to be set out there, and the training needs to occur so that your representatives clearly can do it properly, and you keep testing and measuring and improving. That's how that comes about. Now, their social ratings went from 3.0 star rating to a 4.9. Again, that's substantial in the amount of traffic that comes in organically through the use of directory sites. Their social fan base went up 800%. That's across all the different social media sites. Their organic search, it moved up in the rankings to the first page. Why? Because the search engines read all these social signals, and when there's all this chatter going on about your brand, that gives your brand a much more weight and much more authority. So they will reward that by moving you up in the organic rankings. Now, we also really worked with them to develop a 5-star culture to where everybody's on board. It's not about fixing the blame anymore. It's about fixing the process. It's about fixing the problem. Because if something's not working right, let's break it down. How are we measuring it? How can we improve it? And that changes the culture around, and the staff becomes brand ambassadors. They're the zealots. They're the people that supercharge your customer base so that they get it, they see it, and they become passionate on your behalf as well. Now, with this particular client, since we have a strong branding background, we helped them organize several of their processes to the point where it was unique enough to where we created trademarks around them so that now they have intellectual property equity that they are building. Nobody can compete with them because they have trademarked processes that nobody else can use, nobody else can claim. So this has also been helpful to them. The next step after delighting your customers, and you have to move into really this mindset of dominating. It's just not enough anymore to just want to fall into the slipstream of the number one guy and get pulled along, and you'll just pick up the crumbs as they come your way. In today's market, you and everybody in your organization has to be oriented to being number one, and that's just kind of where it has to be. And so how does this happen? Well, through the journey processing that we've talked about and looking at each sales funnel. How is it that we walk a person that's interested in product or service A, how do we take them along that continuum to where we can line up our products and services in a way that continues to add value to the client? It's not just simply about saying, okay, they just spent $1,000 with us, how do we squeeze them for $1,500? No, it's about adding value to the point where each time somebody's buying an additional service, it builds on the previous one. And this is just a matter of organizing everything properly so you have your upsells and your downsells ready to go, and your staff is well versed in it so they're able to read the client and know what their needs are and move them along the correct continuum. And of course, we split test everything. Now, what does that mean? There's an A and a B with a slight difference between the two, and then we throw them both out there, and with using technology, very quickly we're able to determine if A is drawing more responses or B is. If B wins out, then we throw away A and we bring in a new A. So it's continuous. We'll test landing pages. And landing pages versus websites, that's a whole other another webinar. But we will compare the two, and again, whichever one has the clearest, sharpest message is going to garner the greatest amount of clicks and sales. So we'll test them, and we'll throw away the one that's not working, and we'll test something else against the winner. So we're constantly challenging ourselves to improve. Now, here's in this particular case, we had an e-commerce client. They were selling these widgets at $39 each. Well, we tested it against $49 and discovered that they had no drop in sales at $49. We tested the price point of $59 and sales did not drop. When we went to $69, all of a sudden sales were starting to drop. So we backed it off to $59, and now they're selling thousands of these widgets. Instead of at $39, they're selling at $59. So each one's an additional $20 that goes straight to the bottom line. You have to think that way, and all of this has to be oriented to the bottom line. That's just it. That's how the world works these days. Now, also with that is a 5-star culture. Again, you can't pressure people into it. There's no more that thing, if I want your opinion, I'll beat it out of you. That just doesn't work. You have to get everybody inspired, and everybody's a contributor toward the success of the company. And that's what that 5-star culture is all about. And that too is not an accident. It's a process by which you can take point and bring your people along with you. And then the whole notion of continuous improvement. Fix the problem, not the blame. Continually improve. You want to be number one. You want to dominate. Now, what does this look like? Well, here's a client, a boutique hotel, high-end, very popular, and they were in the process of transitioning from one management company to another. And during that period, there was a blackout. They didn't have access to their social sites. They were hobbled, and so they were going dark. So we stepped in, started utilizing some of the platforms and resources that we have, and we were able to take their promotional attendance of events and increased it by 595% over the previous year. Their sales also increased 20% over previous years, and we're continuing to do this with them. Now, their social fan base also went up 175% during the first weeks that we were able to bring everything back up. Their website traffic is up by 500% again during those first few weeks, went from 1,390 people to 7,000. So these are the way these things work. Now, in a multi-location restaurant operation, just to show you another industry, their social ratings went from 2.5 stars to 4.5. Imagine how many people were like not going because it was a 2.5 star rating. That is like a major deterrent. So that became strategic to really nail that. We increased their social fan base following from 0 to 14,000. Now, this is a company we've been working with since 2009. They've had double-digit growth year over year since 2009. Despite all the rumblings of economics ups and downs and competition and everything else, they focused on the core essentials, on the three-pronged strategy. This three-legged stool that we're talking about here, that's what's driving all of this. So we've done multiple promotions, and they continue to break sales records. We converted their website from what most people do. It's a brochure website. The old school is like, hey, we use brochures. Well, let's just throw that up online, thinking there was magic to it. So you pull everything out of the drawers and you throw it online, like just this massive weight of stuff is going to matter. Nobody reads it. It's about turning your web presence into a sales funnel that is congruent with everything else we've been talking about. So that was a big plus for them as well. The other factor was this restaurant had been around for a while, so the median age of their customer base was moving along over the years along with the age of the restaurant. That left them vulnerable because they were not reaching to a younger crowd. So we're able to direct a lot of our efforts to really bring in a more broad-based customer base, and so it's been very successful in that regard. We also were able to help them improve their ticket value by 20%. Again, just understanding the process, the needs, the desires, the wishes of customers, and organizing that in the right sequences so that people appreciate it more and they spend more. Their organic search engine ranking also moved them along certain keywords, critical keywords, without any SEO or any other activities, because the social signals get so strong that the search engines pick up on that and move them up. So we've been talking to you about engaging, delighting, and dominating. Well, who does this apply to? Well, virtually just about any industry. We have a broad range of clients. We're real strong with certain industries, more so than others, but it definitely applies wherever we have applied it. And these are just some of the categories. And so if you have any takeaways from all of this, which hopefully you have some, but if I can recap a few, you really have to focus on that front end. How are you engaging clients? Are you leaving up to chance? Are you just relying on legacy systems? Do you have a strategy for diving into that mosh pit of social engagement and bringing people in? Are you delighting your customers? Do you have a strategy for that? How are you turning your customers into your brand ambassadors so that you just turn them loose and they're out there singing your praises to their friends and family, the people that trust them? That's critical. And also, how are you planning to dominate? You have to. Do you have the right mindset? Does everybody in your organization support it? Is everybody behind it? Have you got everybody involved? These are the critical things that you want to do. So as you go into 2019, how are you going to engage your audience? How are you going to engage the people at large and bring them into your world? How are you going to delight in 2019? How are you going to dominate in 2019? These are key questions, and I'll say at this point, reach out to us. We're more than happy to do a consultation with you to kick it around. We love doing it. It's like solving a big puzzle, and we love diving into it with people. We're passionate about it, and I almost hate to use that word, but it's really that. We get fired up about it. So let me also then come back to that. Remember that free gift I was going to offer? Well, let me tell you what it is, okay? This is something that goes hand in hand with what we've talked about, and it's something that's called a reputation report. We have a methodology by which we are able to give you a real detailed view of how you are represented across 30 different directories, these ranking sites, rating sites, many of which you don't even know that you're listed. Literally, there are hundreds of these sites, and each of them has a certain following. And a lot of times these sites will simply draw information from some other site, regardless of whether it's old information or irrelevant. So a lot of times it's misrepresented. And if you can see on the right-hand side, this part of the detail where you see those red bars, those are links that take you actually directly back to the directory sites so that you can update them. So through this report, you're going to see a lot of details, all the good and the bad and the ugly that's out there about your brand. And for some people, it's like it makes you want to pull your hair out. But again, the good news is this wherever there's a disconnect, wherever there's information that's not correct, that's just one more element of a headwind that you're trying to push against, that's pushing back on you because it's misrepresenting you. So this is very important. And again, the links to the directories are there. It also includes who some of the keywords and who the leaders are in those keywords and where you are relative to them. So it's a very, very good, thorough, in-depth report, and you can even use it to develop an assessment of your competition. So normally a report like this, whatever it costs, it will generate thousands of dollars in return because of the vital data that it provides if you use it correctly. So let's say it's cost thousands of dollars, but regardless, today it's free. It's just a way of us showing you how this works. So this three-pronged strategy, it has a lot of elements to it. You don't tackle it all at the same time. You go after the low-hanging fruit. Where's it bleeding? Where's it hurting? Where do you need support? And we dive in and start working with that. And that's the strategy that we suggest that you take, so that you do an evaluation of your organization. Say, we've got to concentrate on engaging. No, we've got to concentrate on dominating because we're being left behind, or we have to work on retaining our clients. We have to delight them. So every organization is different. So aside from getting this free report, and you can get it by going to insightbeast.com. Okay, insightbeast.com. It's real simple. There's just 2 data points that we need from you. Actually 3. We need the phone number of your business, the name of your business, the way it appears, and also your email, so that after our staff compiles this report, they're going to be able to send it back out to you. Okay, and again, no charge. And we get great feedback on it all the time. So, we extend it to you so that you get a nice experience of it. And again, we're here. We love what we do. We're passionate about it. We're thrilled about what we do. I'm trying to come up with a different word, because that one's just sort of used all the time, for everything. So, but it's in our blood. It's what we do. It's what we love to do. We love nothing more than to help companies just crush their competition and just keep building and building and being more and more successful all the time. So contact us. Let us know. We'd love to just chat, have a conversation with you, and explore where your needs are, where it hurts, where we might be able to help you. So reach out to us at any time. Again, my name's Edgar Vaitia. My partner, Sebastian Gavidia, will respond right away. So just reach out to us anytime. And thank you again for your time here and for listening. And anything that we can do for you, please just reach out. Let us know. We'd love to chat.